Everybody has a setup like I set up over here. Taking care to make sure that if I'm looking flat down on this table, that my objects are set up either parallel to the edge of the table, so the edge of this paper is set up parallel to that edge of the table, and this box here is also set up parallel to the edge of that table, and so is this book, even though it's winging out over the top of this box is set up on the edge of the table here, right? This frame is set parallel to the back edge of the table, okay? And then I have, at a 45-degree angle to that, or pointing straight at my camera, now it may not be exactly 45, depending on where your camera is to the corner, but I want you to set up 3 or 4 objects on your table, this box, and this box, are facing the camera flatly. They're pointing exactly so that they line up with my picture plane, and they're going to be 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. This piece of paper is also set up on a 1 point. So that this sheet of paper, this box, and this box are 1 point perspective, and everything else on the table is 2 point perspective. And I've set it up so that I only have 2 different angles so that everything is going at off towards a right vanishing point and a left vanishing point. Now, as I go to draw on my 18 by 24 sheet of paper, I'm looking up at the stuff in front of me, and I'm probably going to start at this corner of my table, knowing that I want that corner of my table to be down in the bottom corner of my drawing. I'm going to get myself a point right here where I want the corner of that table to be. I'm going to measure the edge of that table. It's just about 15 minutes. It's much less than 10. I'm looking back at the table. I'm drawing the edge of that table in. This is just like we did last week and the week before. Then I'm measuring the edge of the other table as it moves away from the corner, locking that into my vision. Getting my pencil here, looking back at the table and drawing that up in there. Then I'm comparing what I see up here to what I see on my paper, and I may correct it just a little bit. Now I'm going to grab the back edge of my table. I think that's going to go off my page, so I'm going to put that probably right up in here somewhere. Actually, I want to get the box with the frogs and that stuff on the front of my thing. So now it's time for me to do proportion front to back, right? So if I have straight up from here a line going on, it's going to hit the spine of the book where the frogs come in. I'm going to have the frog book come in like this. The frog book is the black book, by the way, that's on top of the box back there. Coming in this way. I should probably move this camera a little bit because I'm seeing a little different than what you're seeing in this camera. You just raise this a touch so it gets closer to my eye level. And that camera's actually then looking down and seeing the top of that black book up here. So I want to have the black book here, and I want to have that other box back in here. So now I'm getting my proportion. I think I'm going to measure from the top of the box to the bottom of the box, and from the bottom of the box to the edge of the table. It looks like it's 1. Huh, surprising. It's almost 2 pencils long. So this distance here should be about 1/3 of the drawing. Well, it looks like I got it pretty good up here. 1, 2, I'll be okay there. All right, so here at the front, I see the yellow sheet of paper sitting up here. This line I'm going to draw back in this way. I'm going to measure those angles and draw this line. I think it's going to be back in, probably up in here somewhere. And it looks like I probably got that too wide. So I'm going to check this corner against the edge of my My big box is going to go back here. Okay, so when I get to measuring the back of the book and the edge of the book, I notice that my first instinct here on this drawing was to draw it in an isometric, and these lines are diverging. So I need to change them. I need to check them. Not only to make sure they're converging, to make sure that they're what I'm seeing up in front of me. Once I get it so I'm satisfied, I can come up here and whale on it, make it a little bit darker, sort of lock these things in. It's starting to come together in this spot, but you know what's going to happen, and this happens to me every time I draw. This angle here must be a little bit off because I see more back here behind this corner of the book. See how I've only got this much area here, but if I look up here in the camera, I've got much more box back there. That means that this line probably comes over this way a bit more, so I'm going to correct for that. Let myself see a little bit more of that over there. Maybe bring this over here, but now these are diverging, so I gotta get this justified. This hangs out more, so I'm gonna cut this back. Yeah, that makes more sense over here. Change it, change it, change it, change it, change it. This is almost straight up and down over here. It's just a little bit before noon. I'm gonna change that. These I gotta decide which one I want. Let me get my eraser and lighten those up. And I'm probably gonna put it kind of in the middle. Actually, I'm gonna come to the other side and zip across over there. That feels better. I'm not using my eraser so much that I erase all my lines. Thought this through and I changed some things. But it never fails that I'll get a drawing and I'll get going along like this and I'll start just winging it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, what's the distance between this white box and this brown box over here? Where does this come out of that? What's the angle really? But now that I have my new perspective concept in mind, I also want to make sure, before I hand this drawing in next week, that the distance between here and here is getting smaller as it moves off in the distance. That this line here is shorter than that line. That this line's shorter than that line. See how these are diverging just slightly? It looks like I got a problem there. I got to get this laid down a little bit flatter. Let's measure it. I think it's more like that, which is going to make this be up a little more, probably like that. It doesn't have to be a lot, but this line has to be shorter than that line. Okay? So on this 3/4 view, I've got six lines that I want to check, actually 7, right? Before I come in here and whale on it and tell myself that this is okay to really lock in. And when I go in to lock it in, I'm not tracing. I'm making this line more vertical. I'm making this line shoot towards that other line, right? Now, yes, I am looking at my paper. Okay? But now it's okay because I have that scaffolding firmly set up and I've checked all of this stuff in here, right? Maybe I need to measure the distance between here and the white box in there. I might take the corner of this box, this brown box, and measure straight over and see that the white box comes a little below that. So if I take a horizontal here, this white box actually comes below that just a touch and then goes straight across. The top of it comes, it seems like about halfway through there. So this is going to be the front of my white box. Comes into here quite a bit though, so this isn't right. There's a problem in here. So I need to bring that up, this down a bit. this needs to go off this way, and this lines up about with the top corner, the back of the white box I see. Heading to the same vanishing point as this. Now my horizon line is up here somewhere. You can't even see it. It's up off of the page. I don't need to draw a horizon line in to be aware of my perspective and to know I'm seeing barely the corner of this. So this edge of the box is not dropping straight down. I'm seeing it come half a minute to the right, which you're not even going to be able to see when I draw it in, but if this goes straight down and this goes up to the same vanishing point, and have just barely the edge of that box shining in like that. This piece of paper comes out about 5 minutes after the hour here. Wing out over the desk. It comes horizontally across the desk here. About 3 minutes to the hour to go under here and out of this right here. But I'm checking to make sure the perspective is measuring out. So this line back here is shorter than this line up here. This line back here is shorter than that line there. This is vertical. This is horizontal. I'm barely seeing the edge of that. So my station point must be like right here in my drawing. Actually, I'm going to have to push my table out more if I'm going to get this at the proper angle and this coming out there. I think I'm going to push my table off the front edge. Yeah, that's cheating. But memo to myself, I probably want to work in class now more to get into the drawing exactly what I wanted to and set up my composition a little bit better. So horizontal lines are here. This is set up at one point, and this and this and this are all horizontal. So if I tilt my camera back, you'll see the top of my easel up here. There is no line. So my vanishing point is something I'm just knowing is up here. I point this camera. It's up here somewhere, right? And my vanishing point, since I know my station point is right here, my vanishing points are wherever this meets up here and wherever this meets up here at some line that's up above my canvas. You want to know where to put your horizon line and your vanishing points. I don't have a horizon line and a vanishing point, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just remembering that those things exist and that this piece of paper, when I measure it, this line here should be a little longer. See how these lines right here are diverging? That's a more important question to me than where exactly is that vanishing point. That vanishing point is off wherever these points meet. So if I take these 2 points and I imagine them up over here, let's say they're up at the top of this tripod, right? Where these 2 things are going to meet. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to shoot it towards that. But I can find that here in my page by saying, look, if this is going to lay at this level and this is going to lay at this level, my vanishing point's off over there somewhere. This guy is going off to here. It's not going to meet that. And this line is longer than that. So that's how I know I need to fix that sheet of paper. This line should be shorter than that line. So these, yes, they're gradually getting closer and they might meet at the same point that does. I'm satisfied with that. That's okay. Part of me is thinking, and part of me is feeling it out, right? So I'm kind of going back and forth between this intuitive understanding of what I see, or this observational understanding of what I see, right? Versus what I know, which is, hey, these things cannot diverge or cross. They have to be going to some parallel something off in the distance. So if I show you barely the edge of this box and barely the edge of this box, then you know my station point's in here and my vanishing point is going to be up above there somewhere, right? Now I could say this line and 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 this line, it should all be going to the same vanishing point. So let's say my station point is here. My vanishing point is going to be up here somewhere, right? So as I pan across, if I take this board and I hold it up here where I told you my vanishing point was up here somewhere, and I swing it out this way, this is coming to the left, this is coming up, this one's coming right, that one's going right. This one should be going more to the right. Looks like it's not there. It looks like it's actually a little higher than that because these lines are a little bit off. And yet I'm going to allow you to get away with that as long as we can name, we can see where your thing is. There's inconsistencies in here. This isn't quite perfect. Looks like I have some stuff to work on too. Now, I just drew this edge of the table in over here. I observed it, I drew it, but now I compare it to this front edge of the table, and I say, well, hold on. These are doomed lovers. They're never going to meet, right? They're going wider and wider apart as they move off into the future. So this line must be wrong, or this line must be wrong. I'm going to keep this line because all these other lines seem to be aligned with that. I'm going to have to say this is going to a vanishing point off over here to the left. I said it was the top of my tripod. So it's got to be doing something more like this. And I went and I changed it so that I feel like these are going to eventually meet at some point. Probably needs to be even more than that. I'm going to go in and change it once again, even though I thought I was so sure. No reason not to make it even better, right? The more I draw here on my page and the more corrections I make, the more likely it is that I can look at my page, make notes, and draw something like I see.